Are you ready to dive in on how to build the foundation of your virtual assistant career? In this video, I will go through step by step the different things that you can do to becoming a really strong virtual assistant, whether you are a candidate or you currently have a client right now. I want to walk you through how to make this a little bit sustainable for you and also how to make it a little bit fun. So make sure to watch until the end of the video for that. So the first one is start with your ideal lifestyle. What that means is basically start with the end in mind. Like, what is a lifestyle that you want to have as a virtual assistant? Now, for a lot of people, it could be that, hey, I just have a flexible work job that I could do from home where I might be working from Monday to Friday, and that's basically the life that I want. Some people, like me, when I started my freelance career way back before I now have my virtual assistant agency, I really wanted a path, basically, or a career where I can just travel almost whenever I want. I know there's responsibilities and things that I have to set, but whenever things were, hey, I want to be able to, for example, I want to go to Singapore in a few months, I am able to just do that and set things up in my life very easily. Or if next week I want to be in a different city, I can just do that as well. As long as I have the internet, I can work anywhere, and I'm very comfortable, honestly, of traveling and working at the same time. I know not a lot of people get that, but that's kind of the life that I have. So that's my ideal lifestyle. So if you had all your ducks in a row, basically, if you had everything, waving a magic wand of creating your perfect life, what is that ideal lifestyle while you're still working as a virtual assistant? What does that work for you? Now, within my company, 2XU, we have virtual assistants who really take off that block of time, like a week off, to be able to travel, go vacation, take a break, and some who do, again, work while they're traveling as well, or they have a setup with their client where they're working a certain amount of days, and if their client is off, they can be off as well. So again, starting with the ideal lifestyle can really help. Next is you want to create your habits and of course track them. Now, I do have a nifty little Notion template that you guys can grab on how to be able to track your habits really well. But the purpose of this is then, as you now have your ideal lifestyle, what are the habits that you need to have to sustain it? So as a really good example, for me, one of my habits daily is to move. It's just there on my habits tracker on Notion. It's for me to at least 30 minutes a day. Either I'm doing a walk, I'm doing a full workout, I could be running, doing errands, but I'm counting that as my move count, because since I work from home, most of the time I'm either standing on my desk or sitting down, so I'm not too mobile. So I want to try to put in some movement in there. Within my other habits is reading books. I have a lot of books in my background, as you guys can probably see, and making sure that I keep that up every single day, at least 10 pages a day, because I want to have a really big knowledge bank basically in my mind whenever our clients or virtual assistants need a piece of advice. The importance, of course, of tracking them is to keep yourself accountable, because when you're a virtual assistant, you work from home, it's easy to let things kind of slip through the cracks and like, oh, it's fine, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, one of the books that I actually have loved reading and rereading is the book Atomic Habits, of just let yourself just miss one day and that's it. Don't make it 2 days streak of missing your habits. And that's where, again, tracking your habits is really important, because it's going to be easy for you to see if you have skipped more than one day on a particular habit. Habits really build behavior and build who you want to become. So that's why we started with the ideal lifestyle in mind, so we can work towards that. Next is go back and start with your foundational skills. Now, as a virtual assistant, most of the time, it might be that you stumbled into it and you were just learning as you go. It might have been that you started with this one part of the skill because you already had it. Let's say you were in marketing basically for another company, and when you started as a VA, you started as a marketing VA. So it might be a lot of different ways of how you got into becoming a virtual assistant. But what I mean with start with foundational skills is make sure that even as you are still doing the job with your current client or the clients that you work with, is you still go through basically the more basic or foundational skills as a virtual assistant. This could be things like email management, calendar management. This could be just learning more of the other tools like Microsoft Office, Trello, Notion. This could be learning just more tools like Microsoft, CRMs, project management tools. It could be learning tools like Trello, Notion, all of the other tools that you might not have been able to get formally trained in. It's good to kind of keep yourself up to date on what they are, so you have the foundation of it. If your client asks like, hey, do you know what this is? Like, oh, I actually just studied about that, or I just learned about that. Next, speaking of skills, is upgrade your soft skills. Well, the soft skills basically are things you can develop within yourself. So your communication skills, your confidence, your execution skills, which is very important when you're a virtual assistant, is that you know how to get things done and execute. And honestly, I've seen so many times that a makeover make or break between a virtual assistant that works with their client for a long run and a virtual assistant that's only a little bit there is their soft skills of like how well they can work with their client, how well they can show up for themselves. And for the hard skills, honestly, it's a little bit easier to be able to do and to be able to learn when you do have the right soft skills as part of your foundation. So what I do recommend is finding out what are the main ones that you need to work on. I honestly just go with the basics of communication, leadership, and self-management, of being able to work and manage yourself, because work from home, they're not always going to be looking over your shoulder. So you can start focusing on those, and if you already get them, then you go to the next step of like the other soft skills that you can get better and better at. Next is you can niche down and specialize basically in either that niche or on the skill that you have. Now, one of the things I've always said is if you want to be paid more and more as a virtual assistant, you want to be looking at the bigger and bigger problems you can solve for your client. The bigger problem that you can solve, the more that you'll get paid. That's why a lot of people who are doing sales get paid a lot, because they're literally bringing in money. It's also why people who are doing the delivery for the client, because they're making sure that the client keeps paying, basically, also can get paid more. These are basically things in a business that need a lot of problem solving. So for you, try to look at what are the niches that you can start specializing in that will bring in basically that ideal lifestyle that you want, or what's a skill that you can start specializing in. So again, you are solving bigger and bigger problems in your client's company or in a future client's business as well. Next is you want to make sure that you document your process. Now, a key thing as a virtual assistant is you want to make sure that just because you are someone who wants to become indispensable in your client's business doesn't mean that you become a bottleneck. So what that means is basically as you work with your client, as you're doing different things, make sure you document or setting up procedures on how you do certain things for your client. Think of it as just writing down the recipe of how you do certain things. That way they can be easily done by someone else, or you can train someone else very easily on how to be able to do it. It's also a really cool and nifty skill to just learn and have, is just being able to document processes, maybe not just yours, but also your client's processes or your teammates' processes. That way, again, they're not a bottleneck on how to get things done because things are documented and written down anyway. Next is you want to build your network, not just to get clients, but also to get best practices and maybe even mentors that you can have in this career. So it could be attending local conferences or events that might be happening. It could also be attending webinars. It could also be being active on basically a Facebook group as well. So start networking and seeing who you can meet, who you can learn from, and who you can give learning to as well. It has to be a good two-way street of giving that value. Next is you want to master project and task management. Now, what I mean by this is, as a virtual assistant, one of the key things that you need to be in charge of is the project and tasks that are given to you, and eventually at different times it might be managing your clients' projects and tasks as well. So mastering how to be able to create basically a project plan, break down the tasks, follow those tasks through the process, flag if there are any bottlenecks, flag if there are any changes that need to be done, is going to be a killer skill for you to learn as a virtual assistant. So I really recommend and cannot emphasize enough that mastering project and task management when it comes to just the execution of it is going to be one of the key skills for you to keep getting better and better at what it is that you do. Next is read and learn from CEOs. What I mean by this is a lot of CEOs and a lot of entrepreneurs, just like myself, we write books basically to document our journey, to document our process. So what I recommend for you is start reading from those business books, and if anything that you'll learn is you'll learn how to see patterns in different stages of their business. A book that I recommend for this is a book called 24 Assets that walks through the entrepreneur journey. Books like The E-Myth, basically, by Michael Gerber, because these books will give you the insight and give you ideas of like, oh yeah, I can be more proactive about this. I can give this to my client. Oh, I recognize where they're at in their journey. So you can offer different parts of your services to that client depending on the stage of their business or depending on what they need at that point as well. So this is where reading a lot or even just watching all of these videos where they talk about their life journey, the interviews, the podcasts, the point of this is to start catching the patterns that entrepreneurs usually go through so you can be more proactive in taking initiative in working out with your client where they're at in that part of their journey. And lastly, like I said in the beginning of the video, find the fun. What I mean by this is to make sure that you put a little bit of fun and a little bit of life into being able to work from home. Like, this opportunity wasn't there, about 15 years ago. I started when I was 15 years old. I was lucky enough, but it wasn't prevalent. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't a thing yet. But finding the fun when it comes to working from home could be, again, maximizing on your habit of basically who it is that you want to become long term. It could be you planning out vacations and things that you can do because you can work anywhere. It could be finding the fun of finding people that you can network with as you're building your own skills. It might be you doing things like this, like creating YouTube videos or creating TikToks. The point of this is to remind yourself to also just be grateful of the journey that you're on, because as I've said in a lot of time, working from home is not for everyone. It takes a certain amount of tenacity and skill to be able to be self-managed and to be the kind of person who can find clients as well working from home. So finding the fun is all about just finding what's something that I can add today into my life that will make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more breezy and chill out basically. And what are the things that I can add into maybe my work desk that if I need to de-stress, I have something I can grab. And what are the habits and the behaviors basically that I can put within myself that I can be this kind of person that I want to become. So finding the fun is all about just finding a little bit of spice that you can add everywhere else, because again, the point of this is having a way to make working from home as a virtual assistant be sustainable for you, whether this is a long-term career or you're aiming to start a virtual assistant agency like I did. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what are your best tips or any questions you might have on building your VA career. Let me know in the comments. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day and that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.